Hi everyone, it's Andy here at Spymaster Gaming. Welcome back to the channel, and hello to you for the first time if you're new. So I'm here with the second scenario of the original campaign from the Necromunda 1995 sourcebook, Scavengers. But before we get into that scenario, I'm going to talk about the game that Graham and I played last time, which was the first scenario, funnily enough, the gang fight, and a bit of a recap to discuss that. So firstly, his leader, Bjorn Smasher Jackson, was a machine. I split my forces into 3 distinct groups for a left, right, flank attack and then a center charge. It didn't pay off. Jackson was on the right flank covering the ground. He took all 3 of my guys out in a single move with his chainsword. It was horrific to watch, but pretty awesome. My stubber, Dante, did not get any shots off. He just kept on firing misses. Conversely, Graham Stubber managed to shoot Dante square in the face and take him out of action, and he's come back now with a -1 to his intuition. So he's going to be a bit useless if he gets into melee. The other flank was guarded by Graham's star player. I'll call him a star player. His Juve, Flip McKenna. Again, a similar thing played out. He took out 3 of my guys in a single charge move. He's only got a knife, and he still took them out. 2 gangers and another Juve gone like that. Boom. Really, really fun to watch, and he's going to be one to watch in this game. I think I will not underestimate him. On my side, it wasn't as fortunate. I lost Alexei the Younger, my Juve. His father, Alexei the Older, got captured, and I had to buy him back with the credits that I earned in the game. So not ideal, really. I also lost the territory, my mining tunnels. What's mine is yours, literally. My mine has gone to Graham. He won that at the end of the game. From a recruitment perspective, I am trying to bolster my roster a bit, considering I only had 30 credits left over after buying another Juve to replace Alexei. The Juve replacing him is Boris, the second son, Alexei the Older's second son. He's got a few sons to go through if they keep on dying, so I'm not too worried about Boris. But I've also recruited a Scummer with a plasma pistol and a Ratskin Scout with a shotgun. And I'm hoping that with their semi-superior stat line, they're going to be able to help me out and take down his Goliaths. But only time will tell, and we'll have to see how the scenario plays out. If you haven't done so already, please consider liking, subscribing to the channel, and ringing the bell. Every little helps, as it were. We're trying to grow the channel, and yeah, any support would be much appreciated. But I hope you enjoy, and without further ado, here is Scenario 2, Scavengers. In this scenario, the objective is relatively simple. Graham and I must fight over 2 loot tokens, which we generated from a d6 roll. In order to win, we both have to get both loot tokens off of our deployment zone edge, which is more easily said than done. The other victory condition is to force each other to take a bottle test and fail it, which is more likely. In addition to this, there will be a monster at play. The monster is a really nice little rule, which is part of this scenario, where basically whenever I start my turn, or when Graham starts his turn, we would be able to make them each other roll a die. And depending on the effect, it would affect one of our gangers. So for example, on my turn, if I rolled a 1, my ganger would unleash a load of ammo at the monster and then be forced to take an ammo roll because he's used so much ammo, and then not be able to do anything. On a 6, a ganger will be dragged off to their death. So that monster could be really, really effective if not kept in check, but there is actually nowhere to keep it in check. It is just a random mechanic. So without any more stalling, continue watching to see how the scenario played out. As it's the first turn, all Graham and I can do really is move our gangers into position. With the treasure token placed fairly centrally, it made sense to split our gangs in a way to afford us maximum board coverage, so we both opt for a left, right and centre attack. It should be worth noting that Graham actually forgets about his left attack for the rest of the game after turn 1, so they will be removed from the minimap at the end of this turn. Now, it should be worth noting that our gangs are currently not at full strength. Graham has the Vents territory, which allows him to place 3 gangers in 3 separate locations at the end of his turn, and I have the tunnels, which allows me to do the same, but they will have to deploy from the tunnel entrance, appearing on screen now.
It's not actually on the minimap, as I took the photo before the tunnel terrain piece was placed. So at the end of this turn, Graham places 2 Gangers and a heavy stubber on the gantries, and I place my Flamer, my Scummer, and my Ratskin Scout at the tunnel entrance. Watch the minimap now to see how the movements for this turn play out. Graham and I both forget to use the monster rule in turn 2, much like we did in turn 1. So Graham proceeds to move 2 Juves and 2 Gangers, including the notorious Flip McKenna, to intercept my Scummer, Ratskin Scout, and Flamer at the tunnel entrance. He places his heavy stubber on Overwatch and moves 2 Gangers up to the barricade on the gantry to support the heavy stubber. Then he leaves his leader at the back, also on Overwatch, and then with the remaining movement, the 2 Gangers placed on the top platforms from the ventilation, he moves one to the edge so he has line of sight at my leader, and the other round to collect the loot token, and then moves him back into cover. The Ganger at the edge of the platform with line of sight takes a shot with his heavy bolter at my leader and succeeds in hitting him. My leader's down but not out, however. But the good news for me is that he gets a 6 and forces an ammo roll, which he fails, which means that he can't do anything else with his gun for the rest of the game. So he may be gloating at the edge of the platform at a good shot he's just had, but his weapon is now useless. Good for me, because heavy bolters are bad. Going back to the combat with Flip McKenna, his fellow Juve takes out my Hive Scum straight away before he can even do anything, which is quite annoying because he's quite expensive for what he does, and he didn't do anything, but it is what it is. The Ratskin Scout fares a bit better against the 2 Goliath gangers that are ganged up on him, which leaves Flip McKenna facing off against my Flamer. And, of course, knowing Flip, there he is with his pistol and his dagger, takes out the Flamer, no problem. Really, really annoying, and I will get him one day. The Ratskin Scout survived, as I said, so he may be able to take him out. With my movement, I moved my Ganger with a shotgun to the top platform to face the Ganger with the loot token, and the heavy stubber on the first platform to support. 2 Gangers move up onto the gantry to face the 2 Gangers that Graham placed behind the barricade, with the third at the bottom ready to move up next turn. They have moved their full 8, so they can't shoot, unfortunately. I move my Ratskin Scout out of combat in the hope that he'll be able to get a shot off in the shooting phase. We'll see. Probably not, though. Before I do anything else, Graham uses Overwatch on his stubber to try and take out my guy with the shotgun. Luckily, he fails, which is nice because I've already lost 2 people, and I don't really feel like losing another just yet. Coming back to my shooting, like I say, I can have an opportunity to shoot with the Ratskin Scout shotgun, and knowing my luck, I fail, and I do, so he can't do anything, and he will get mobbed next turn, most likely. I then get a chance to roll for my leader to see if he comes back up, and he gets a 6, which means he gets removed from the game. He hasn't even done anything, and removed on turn 2. Bugger. Graham reminds me my Juves can move, as I haven't moved them, which I do. Nice, thank you, Graham, for reminding me. Check out the minimap for the rest of the movements for this turn.
At the start of turn 3, I finally remembered to trigger the monster roll, forcing Graham to roll a die, which affects his most isolated Ganger. It is a 1, which means the Ganger has to take an ammo roll, but for me, it's unlucky, as the Ganger who is most isolated is the one on the platform who's already run out of ammo due to a previous fail. Graham moves the 2 Juves that were near the entrance to the tunnel up to claim the second loot token, and then moves the Ganger who failed the ammo roll onto the gantry to confront my guy with the shotgun. He then tries and target my 2 Gangers on the rusty platform in the center of the board with his Gangers, and unfortunately for me, he gets a shot off. He also moves his leader up to support them as well. I lose 1 guy, goes down from the pin test. No wounds suffered, luckily for me. On my turn, I'm panicking a bit because I don't really have a lot that I can fight back with. And it's still not over yet as we move into the combat phase. My Ratskin Scout is isolated on the side of the board still, and he fails the combat with the Ganger, meaning that he gets taken out of action as well, which means both my Scummer and my Scout have gone without doing anything, so I won't be buying them again, as it was a waste of credits, I think. On my turn, Graham forces me to take the monster roll again. I get a 5, which means it affects my most isolated Ganger, which is my Juve at the back, Boris. It means he can't do anything, so the other 2 Juves leave him, and they get to advance up the board. I move my Ganger with the shotgun up to try and shoot at the guy with the loot token, and move the heavy stubber up, and then move my final Ganger on the floor to support the 2 on the rusty gantry.
Not ideal. I don't get any shots with the shotgun. They don't hit. I can't really shoot with my heavy stubber because he's already moved. So Graham allows me to tuck him into cover as a mistake on my part. And that is the turn. And
Into turn 4, things go from bad to worse for me. On the monster roll, I lose Boris the Second Son to the monster. He gets dragged off to his death, never to be seen again. Again, didn't do anything, much like his brother, Alexei the Younger. So, as 2 sons of Alexei the Elder's gone, I'll have to see if he's got another son for the next game. From an injuries perspective, it doesn't bode well for me. I managed to take one of Graham's Goliaths out with my shotgunner, Laszlo Orsworthy, but he in turn gets struck down. And that's it in terms of casualties for Graham. When it comes to injuries and checking to see who's got permanent injuries or who's been killed, I do horrifically. Laszlo, poor Laszlo, the only guy to do anything in the game of note, gets killed. I lose him. My leader, Arsen Sorik, gets captured, and I don't have enough credits to buy him back. When I roll for all the credits from my territories that I still have, I only have 70, and it's not enough to buy him back. I lose another Ganger as well, so that is 2 Gangers and my Juve out of the window. My Scummer and my Ratskin Scout, they're gone because they're just 1 use only. And I am in a bit of a pickle, and I do not use that phrase lightly. I am in a bit of a pickle. Going into game 3, I'm going to be on the back foot. Graham has numerical superiority. He has now leveled up a number of his Gangers. Flip McKenna is pretty much a full Ganger now. And even though his leader, Smasher Jackson, didn't do much this game, he's still formidable. And obviously the fact that his leader's still in play means that I am going to suffer. I don't know what my strategy will be for the next game. The gang power ratings are obviously going to be wildly different from what they were at the start of this game, and I will need to strategize. If you've liked this battle report, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Anything that can be done to help grow it at this early stage is greatly appreciated. Any feedback that you've got as well in terms of format or any things that you'd like to see from a presentation perspective, please drop a note in the comments and I'll have a read and try and accommodate you if I think it's a good idea. It probably will be because I'm new to this. So yeah, feel free to check out my other videos. I'm covering Grimdark Future. I'll be looking at some of the other specialist games from Games Workshop as well, and basically anything that takes my fancy, which is quite quirky. And that's all for now. Hopefully see you for scenario 3.